you have to expect that there are going to be lows as well as highs.
We were effectively thrown in at the deep end to a very high pressure accelerator where we were all trying to learn where we all sat and where all our roles ended up. And I think there was a couple of points in that which were very difficult for us as a team.
You will have good meetings, that you will also have bad meetings.
That was hard work. It was tough.
I suppose parenting helped me on that, because we all understand that there are lows and there are highs, but we all in the end love our children. So that is the same type of thing that you have to do with this project. They call it challenge for a reason.
You're having to find suppliers and get things within certain delivery schedules. I can understand why many Kickstarters fail or they're really late with their deliveries. Trying to schedule parts when you have a large order, it's quite a challenge.
It's a challenge to engage with the sponsor, with all the other people.
In our case, has always been get the unknowns out of the way first, and then you stop worrying about them.
Listen to all the experts that come in, use the people around you, and use every minute you can to progress what you're doing.
Then you can focus on the other unknowns, which are equally important, which are things like, for example, where's my business coming? Where's the revenue going to come from? What are my costs going to be?
You will come to an obstacle in your project that you do not know how to get over. But being here in this room, there's usually somebody who has some skill in that, or who has a contact who does.
And a team of people who, if you go and ask them a question, find you the answer. If not immediately, then pretty damn quick.
The highs, there's been some really good highs.
Working on the first site.
Coming together as a team.
Get the board to come up, get it to plug all together, get it all working. It was brilliant.
We've had a really good working relationship with the challenge sponsor, and they have been really supportive.
When we were working with them, we could see how excited that they are about what we do. And that was encouraging in itself.
When we solved problems, that was real highs, and when we saw the product come together and we saw it on a screen, and then there was a moment where we could see the direction it was going with. I'd spoken to a lot of external people, we'd had validation of our ideas.
At that point we did know that we were going to be able to do it.
The biggest moment, and the one that I will remember for a long time, is that we did user testing, and there was one guy, and he said, I wouldn't use this. And we said, you'll use it for the testing. So he used it. And as it showed each new piece of information, he'd go, I wish I'd known that. And then, I wish I'd known that. And right at the end, we asked him for some feedback, and he said, it's too late for me, but you've got to do this because it'll help other people. And it was that was the moment when you thought, if we can convince him to use this and it works for him, then we're on the right tracks.
In some of the workshops, you get real moments where there's almost like a kind of epiphany about, the way that you should do something. Like we got it with the business blueprinting, that kind of inverted almost the way that we would think about things.
There was a moment where we could just see the sweet point where we're sat, and we think we're sat in our own space. That was a massive high. That was a sudden wow.
It's a really big stepping stone to actually be working with some international colleagues on some of these rollouts.
Slightly scary at the same moment as well, because you now know then the race is on to be the first to occupy that space.
It has been a lot of work. We've crammed a huge amount of stuff into a very small amount of time.
But I actually thought that the whole thing was a great learning process for everybody.
There's a lot of stuff we're really pushing quite a lot of boundaries out.
I've learned new ways of doing things and new ways of looking at things. And that's been really useful. That's been really, really good. That has delivered a lot.
One is to go in with your eyes open, right? So make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. So you wouldn't do this to earn revenue. You get paid money, but it won't cover your costs.
Enter it with an open mind, as in don't go in there thinking that I've already got the solution.
If your entry at the beginning is the same at the end of the exploration stage, you've maybe not asked enough questions.
What you need to be able to do is use it to accelerate your company in some way. That's what it's called, right?
Look beyond the challenge when you're looking at the solution and think, what's the bigger picture?
We've had to pivot significantly several times.
Try and use the process to really develop something new and innovative, because that's one of those few times you're going to have breathing space with a client who's willing to listen.
So if you've got a product that you can develop a bit further, if you've got a product that you can bring to market through this, that's when I think it's most useful.
We've only done that on the back of a question: where is it we want to go? Where do we want to be at the end of it?
I don't know if we've got beyond 5 years in our thought process, but building something, that's what it is.
Certainly in Scotland, hopefully the UK, and then abroad as well if possible.
And if we make a success of that, well, the sky's the limit.
We really fancy growing a global company. And maybe it's very ambitious to say you want to be a tech unicorn, but I think we're quite excited about that.
There's a thing about it being that, like, getting small companies and government to work together is like taking two positive sides of magnets and pushing them together. They just don't fit together. And what CivTech is if you like, is a kind of a glue that brings these two things together. But it's enormously supportive in doing that.
You've got a space to maybe go inside and do something really different.
Access to government departments that will buy from you.
My contacts file has increased 1,000-fold, I think.
Into the door with people who've got challenges.
And you can use the CivTech process to leverage that and to speed up that process, and that's really good.
The velocity of what we achieved in that time, I probably wouldn't have thought was possible in a sort of previous life.
Intense.
Challenging.
Opportunity.
Inventive.
Genuinely transformative experience.
And daring.
Disruption.
A bullet train.
Yeah, this is really doing what we want it to do. This is great.